Resignations, council meetings and culture war. How reform UK councils are descending into chaos. We're going to read into this piece from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline of Resignations, Council Meetings and Culture Wars. How reform UK councillors are descending into chaos. Nigel Farage's band of newly elected councillors are already starting to struggle, reports Josiah Mortimer. Guys, just a reminder to hit that like button and share across social media so others are notified of this video. What have I always kept saying about Reform UK? How many times have I said this to all those reform lovers out there, those who are subscribed to my channel? What has Nigel Farage done to benefit the lives of the people of Clacton? It's been almost a year since the general election, and yet still I have yet to be given a clear answer from a single reform voter of what Nigel Farage has done. Because here's the thing, and I always keep saying this when we're talking about Reform UK, it's about what they're doing, not what they're saying. Yeah? You want reform, you believe in reform, you think reform is going to make things better for the beneficial. That you're tired of the old-fashioned red and blue in the Tories and Labour. And I agree. I'm tired of them too. I'm tired of the status quo too. But you're claiming that reform will make things better. Well, now they own they have a great deal of councils. Now they've had some MPs in charge for their constituencies for a while. Now they have some power. Okay, they haven't got governmental power, but they still have power to get things done, to do things that they claim they're going to do. They say they're going to make your lives better, yeah? That's what they've said. They want to improve your lives, don't they? Yeah, they always keep talking about stopping immigrants, and they talk about Doge, like Department of Government Efficiency, wanting to cut things. I thought they want to improve your lives. I'm going to keep asking this question to all the reform voters who keep asking of how they make of what they are doing to make your lives better. Now, granted, these are only newly elected councillors from the local elections, and we're going to have to see over time what they are doing. But already, doesn't look very convincing, does it? Especially when you hear nothing but chaos. It's funny how we don't hear this kind of chaos from, I don't know, the Green Party, or the Lib Dems, or Labour, or even the Conservative councillors. How come we don't hear it from any of them? It's almost as if they, know what they're doing. So after the election counts finished and the camera crews headed home, Reform UK councillors, over 800 of them, running 12 councils, had to grapple with the new question: what are we going to do now? Now that question has started to be answered. So we dug through local news coverage and talked to local constituents and opposition councillors on the ground to figure out what reform councils have been up to. And it's not been smooth sailing, to say the least. Across England, there have been stories of council meetings, suspensions, resignations, and more than a few cultural wars. Here's just reforms local councils that have been getting up to since the 1st of May. It's not been smooth running. Bear in mind, it's only been just over roughly 2.5 months, okay? So they've had 2.5 months to see what they can do as councillors, yeah? So let's see what they've done. So Kent County Council, this is the one that's heard about the most, yeah? Kent County Council has received the most attention of the 12 reform-run local authorities in England, in no small part due to it being the flag bearer of Reform's Doge team of party activists and sustainable experts sent in to audit the council's finances, yeah? So this is what they wanted to do, is to cut from the finances, right? Remember, we already had austerity. People forget this. However, despite promises of newfound efficiency, it already seems to be experiencing a severe case of dysfunction. As Byline Times first reported, all committee meetings scheduled for June were cancelled by the new administration, with some reform members reportedly requesting that July meetings also be rearranged because they cannot attend those either. Why can't they attend them? Isn't it their job? Why can't they attend meetings? Opposition councillors described the council's performance under reform decision makers as both slow and chaotic. A Kent resident got in touch with Byline Times to share their thought. The overwhelming sense I get since the council elections is silence. We've heard nothing from our elected councillors. We've seen very little press other than a few bits on Kent Online and those articles that you've published. The huge fanfare over the Doge team and that appalling letter from Reform Limited telling staff to cooperate or else. Then the resignations to half the team has been followed by nothing at all. Council meetings and collapsed. Doge, but no new policies, no innovation, no massive imagination savings, nothing. Are they out of their debt? Probably. So this is just one resident who keeps very close with local politics here, and they're not seeing anything. This is what I've said. I've said I want to see what Reform UK do. I don't want to hear them talk. I want to see what they're doing. You know, for all the things we have, criticisms that you have of the Conservatives and Labour, they do stuff. They do stuff. May not like some of the stuff that they do, but they are actually doing stuff. What's Reform doing right now? Remember, all they're doing is talking. Yeah? Do some Googling and find me what actions they've done to improve people's lives, okay? Show me. The council leader responded to criticism so far by, according to opponents, going on holiday. Well, that's one way to deal with your things. Yeah, instead, I'm just going to run away. East Thanet Labour MP Polly Brigginson has been watching the councils closely, and she said, Reform can say they can't hold key meetings because cabinet members are being trained. But there are now reports the new council leader has gone on holiday and reformers seem reluctant to explain what is going on. There may be a perfectly reasonable explanation, but the people of Kent shouldn't be kept in the dark. Yeah, there is possible that there may be a reasonable explanation for this, but people have a right to know what's going on in their councils, don't they? A Reform councillor said that there already has been suspended. A Reform councillor there has already been suspended by the party over allegations that they are now with the police. So all is going well. Another Kent reader put it, we've probably been put under special measures by Christmas. Oh, okay, so you're just going to drag it out now. A plethora of postponements and cancelled Kent County meetings in June. So here we are. Lots of, this is from their records here. You can see their calendar here. They've still got some, they still had on their calendar some meetings. When they're supposed to have, well, I'm recording this on the 16th of June just for reference. So they're supposed to have had an Access Joint Committee. They were supposed to have a Regulation Committee tomorrow, which looks like it's been cancelled. Kiefer on Wednesday. Another meeting cancelled on Thursday. Okay. On Tuesday, postponed. Environment and Transport, Defence, Commerce, postponed. Children's youth people in education is postponed. Why has this been postponed? See, here's the thing. What's the why can't they get on with this? Like, what is the reason? Yeah, okay. If you're new to the role, you've got to get your hands dirty. You can't just back out of it. Like, it's not like you're going to be given stack loads of money and you just get to put your feet up while other people work. No, that's your job. It's your job as a councillor. Yeah, to deal with people's problems, to deal with local issues. That's what you're paid for. That's what you've been elected for. You can't just sit on your backside in this kind of role. People, you have a job to do. That's just Kent, by the way. So, Derbyshire County Council. What's been going on there, guys? Let's have a look. One Reform Council has got to work quickly in Derbyshire County Council, though residents will probably prefer the new leader obsessed over flags instead in this case. Last week, the BBC reported that Reform planned to close a swathe of adult education centres. Why? Learning centres such as the Eco Centre in Wixworth and centres in Athlone, Ashbrook, Matlock, Shinebrook, Sayre, Long Eaton and Toolbox and Gossip will cease to offer adult education courses at the end of July, according to a BBC report of the council. The new administration has also refused to commit to installing sprinklers in Derbyshire School, reversing the pledge from the previous administration. Harrington Junior School in Long Eaton was first destroyed by a fire in May 2020 with no sprinklers installed to prevent the total loss of the building, the Derbyshire Times have reported anonymously. Why would they? What's the problem with spending money on sprinklers, which, I don't know, protects lives? Because that's the whole point of why public buildings have sprinklers, to stop fire spreading so that nobody dies from them potentially. Leicestershire County Council got to work with reform priorities on taking office. With the new administration's first action has been scrappy. The authority established flying flag policy in their first cabinet meeting and replaced it with British value flags rules, meaning no more Pride or Ukrainian flags on council-owned buildings. Yeah, because that's the number one priority in Leicestershire right now is flags. That's the main priority. Not dealing with potholes or making sure the bin collections are being done. No, guys, it's flags. That's the main priority. The new team has also attracted criticism for placing inexperienced councillors in senior positions, with a 19-year-old Reform councillor who has said he doesn't believe depression is real being put in charge of a multi-million-pound health budget. You put a 19-year-old Reform councillor who doesn't believe in depression, who probably suffers from depression himself, in charge of a multi-million-pound health budget. A 19-year-old. Oh my God. Another Reform councillor, aged 22, has been placed in charge of children's and adult services, prompting social workers to raise concerns about the clash of values and lack of experience among new leadership, according to the industrial title professional social work. So these two apparently, Chris Charles Pudsey, 19, and Joseph Brown here on the right, they've been put in charge of healthcare and adult services in Leicestershire County Council. In charge of it. These two kids, yeah? That's not going to go well. Wiltshire County Council is new Reform leader Joe Monk stirred controversy by suggesting that councillors who are too ill to attend meetings should resign, despite having attended just over 50% of meetings herself since taking office. This is pathetic. And our local Reform team had to apologise. That's hard. They got the word apology in them for making false claims about savings. Reform in Redditch in Wiltshire initially claimed they had saved taxpayers $46,000 by having one fewer cabinet member than the previous administration. When Byline Times approached the council to ask if it was true, they replied diplomatically there were 10 cabinet ministers previously, including the leader, and 10 cabinet ministers now, including the leader. In other words, it was untrue. That did they all take a pay cut? In doing so as well, did they all agree to take a pay cut to make up that £46,000? Answers on a postcard, please. Staffordshire County Council, local sources in Staffordshire tells Byline Times that Reform councillors are largely keeping low profiles, requesting brief reports and contacts by making few policy announcements. The council lost Reform councillor Wayne Tilley within 2 weeks of the election after he posted on Facebook calling for the Navy to intercept migrant boats with a volley of gunfire to sink them. Idiot. Another idiot. You're calling for the murder of innocent people. That's exactly what Wayne Tilley is calling there. Another Reform councillor, Barry Martin, posted on Facebook after attending his first council meeting, asking constituents if he should resign because he found the proceedings dull and boring. Again, like, why take up the role if you should have done your research when you became, you should have known what you're doing. You need to look up what you're doing. Life in Britain and beyond, Barry Martin. Reform UK now runs Staffordshire after the first full council MGT. We bossed the country, massive unbeaten Rucks majority, rest nowhere. Nan Staff was the first Ruck County council ever. Can this person even write properly? Now thinking of resigning, moving on to more interesting things to do. So dull and boring in the next months, as far as I can see. Long MTS with contracted people, endless travel, training in emails, raining in on social media. MRI. Barry doesn't do dull and boring, as you know. Maybe gone up a serious, irritating brain, numbering brunch line, and the pay so poor for you all do. Pushy others demand necessary admin, strange in leaders on the big bucks. So thoughts as the song gets, should I stay or should I go? Wow, this guy really does a bit clueless of the role he's got. Oh dear. Nottinghamshire County Council has, like Kent, been cancelling meetings under Reform control, leaving staff in limbo while the new administration develops their policies. So local media reports that Reform councils have provided minimal input to council proceedings, with significant fewer meetings being held compared to previous months under the previous Conservative control. So that's all they have right now for them. Durham County Council has seen 2 Reform councillors head for the exit within barely a month of the local elections. Councillor John Bailey resigned, citing health issues. Locals suspect they have serious health problems were an issue prior to polling day, suggesting there may have been a paper candidate. 2 county reformers so far do not appear to have submitted photos of themselves. Both are from Reform. They haven't submitted photos, so we don't even know what they look like. And just 5 out of the 63 Reform councillors on Durham CC appear to have filed their register of interest. The law is clear. When you are first elected, co-opted and appointed to a member of your council authority, you must within 28 days become within 28 days, become a member, telling the monitoring officer who is responsible for your council or authority registered member of interest about his disclosed pecuniary interests. What's going on? So they're not revealing who they are. No, that's a bit odd. Another Reform councillor, Andrew Kilburn, Benton's side, was forced to stand down after failing to declare his council employment. It's against the rules to work for the council and run election to it at the same time. And now Brexiteer Darren Grimes claims he faced suspension for refusing to participate in voluntary DEI, diversity, equality and inclusion, and net zero training. Grimes famously received payments totaling £675,000 for anti-EU spending on the EU referendum. He was cleared of wrongdoing over the payments by the Electoral Commission on appeal in 2018. We asked the Durham Council if Grimes was supposedly suspension is actually true, given that his voluntary training was just voluntary. We've not heard a response yet. That Reform controls 6 of the 9 seats on the standing committee, which will decide on any suspension, including the holding the position of chair and vice chair. By the way, you need to have this training. By the way, this is not woke culture nonsense. You actually need to have this training, because here's the thing: you need to know what to do in situations when it comes to, and the net zero one is in particular, right? There's something called, floods, which can happen. And you need to know what to do and how to respond as a councillor when these situations arise. Yes, there's MPs, and MPs have responsibilities too. But you're part of the council, you're part of the local authorities. If something was to happen in regards to that, or if there was a landslide or something, you need to be ready to deal with these situations. And DEI, in terms of diversity, equality, and inclusion, is about helping all kinds of people in situations there. So it's nothing to do with the whole culture wars things. It's about helping you better train and understand the role that you have, and you should be grateful that you have this training to help you in your role. If you didn't want to do the training, you shouldn't have taken up the role in the first place, is my message. Lincolnshire County Council, the Conservatives have turned their fire on reform in Lincolnshire, hitting out reform for being disorganised and unprofessional. Lincolnshire Conservatives shared this on Monday the 9th of June. The Lincolnshire County Council Planning Committee met to consider several significant matters, including the proposed Springwell Solar Farm, a vast 800 megawatts development that, if approved, will cover approximately 1,280 acres in North Kensington. Despite the importance of this meeting for thousands of Lincolnshire residents, not a single Reform UK councillor, aside from the chairman, contributed to the discussion. A Lib Dem councillor in Lincolnshire told Byline Times the chairman of planning committee essentially said to his group that they were too inexperienced and too underprepared to vote in a solar farm application. The leader even came in for the final few minutes. Painful viewing. Embarrassing. Again, this is the kind of, what you're reading now is the kind of crap you would get on a national level with Reform UK. Yeah, if Reform was to own all the councils, if the Reform were to take over, what you're hearing about now, and this is just chaos on local level. This is what you're going to get on a government level if they come to power. West Northamptonshire Council, a council staffer gets in touch saying many of Reform's actions in power in West Norfolk seems to be about opposing rainbows. Yeah, because there's not anything else going on in your council, right? A flag ban came into operation with an updated protocol being published. There was a lot of negative comments on the team's channel, especially as it coincided with the start of Pride Month. Staff were obviously concerned about the impact of our outward projection of diversity. The ability to add further comments was removed after 24 hours. And then at the start of June, Reform appeared to go after email signatories. They sent out an edict on how to email signatories should look, which appears to mainly focus on removing the rainbow colours from the graphics that we must display. Not everyone chooses a rainbow style, but it was an option, not anybody, the source said. Is this it here? Here we go. Council Chief passes on edict from Reform bosses. He's saying, "Evening all. We've been given a directive that all email signatories must now look like mine below. It is mandatory to have a telephone number on it too. Form should be Telemar 11. You may include pronouns if you wish, but please avoid adding anything about specific work patterns. Additional guidelines: do not use any previous versions or color adaptations of this email graphic. Please avoid using different fonts or colors. All information should be in Telemar 11 PT black text." What does this popular signature which means this popular signature on WNC is banned, which is trust, high performance, respect, initiative, value, and empower. What is this got anything to do with Pride? This has nothing to do with pride. This has nothing to do with trans or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's silly. Prodigal ex-reform chair and Doge Bods Zada Yusuf turned up Friday the 13th of June to sniff around the council. One of our snoops there informed us. The only major savings apparently identified so far is reducing access to Microsoft software suites for some council staff who don't need a full raft of tools, potentially saving £160,000 a year over 5 years, or about 0.000000016% of the council's £1 billion annual budget. Yay! Doge in action. I know this is a long video, but it's necessary. On the whole, reform-controlled councils seem shocked by their wins, with candidates seemingly stood to make up the numbers now find themselves in positions of power with little idea what to do. This is already resulting in multiple resignations and costly by-elections across different authorities, costing each taxpayer about £27,000 a pop. The party, so-called government of the Department of Government Efficiency, might want to take a look at that. Yeah, so this is what they're costing us, by not them doing their job properly, guys. Yeah, reform, definitely getting stuff done, guys. See, this is what I said. How many times have I said this, yeah? I've asked people time and time again, what has Nigel Farage done for the people of Clacton as an MP? And now you have councillors, reform councillors, like, what are they doing to improve people's lives? And here you're nothing but chaos. Show me examples of reform, making people's lives better. Give me examples. Yeah, in the comments down below. Show me that reform are actually caring about what they're doing. Here is another example of reform. Don't know what they're doing. You give them power and they will flaunt it. Yeah, for all the criticisms that I have of Labour, and hell, I have a hell of a lot for the Conservatives and Labour, don't you worry, as well as the Lib Dems and even the Greens in the past. I've been even the Greens in the past, when it's come to things, they've had issues in the past as well. They're not perfect, but they're a hell of a lot better than the rest of the political parties. Okay, but I don't hear almost anything as chaotic as I have been hearing from Reform UK since they had these council seats. I don't hear this from Labour. I don't hear this from the Conservatives. I don't hear this from the Dems. And I certainly haven't heard any of this from the Greens. They have been gaining councillors and local areas time and time again in local elections. And you know what? I don't hear anything from them. Do you know why? It's because they know how to do their job, because they're taking their job seriously. And it's a very serious job to be a councillor. But these people in Reform don't seem to know what they're doing. They seem to have just been thrown the opportunity, go in there and expect to know what they're doing. And they have no idea what they're doing. They haven't done any training. They haven't done any research into what their job is. You have to know exactly what you're doing. You're applying to be a councillor. The least you could do is literally grab a computer or a laptop, do some Googling and understand what your role as a councillor is. But they're not even doing that. I mean, it's not that hard. Like, literally, you have Google in front of you. There are contacts. You can speak to people who have experience in councils to help you with this. But they don't even want to do that. They don't even want to do that. Some of them don't even want to do their bloody jobs properly. And it's not right. It's not fair on you. It's not fair on me. It's not fair on all the people who live in these areas. In those areas. It's not. It's not fair on them. So you can kick and scream as much as you want about how great reform is. But this is a prime example, and you're going to keep hearing stories about these, about how terrible they are when they've been given power. And I end with this. What has Nigel Farage done for the people of Clacton? Specifically. I keep asking that question, and I'm going to keep asking it every time we talk about reform. Because not a single reform voter who comes on my channel, who comments, can give me an answer to that. So for all the common sense people, what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the chaos? Are you surprised by this chaos? Are you not surprised by this chaos? Do you think Reform knows what they're doing? Maybe they'll end up giving up and going back to council elections, and maybe the Conservatives and Labour will take over some of them, because obviously they're not qualified to do so. But let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative and helpful to you, please hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't already, check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content, and if you want to financially support me rather than Reform UK, who don't seem to know what they're doing, you can join the YouTube membership for as little as 99p. At least when you join, at least if you're financially supporting me, I'm actually giving you some common sense work as opposed to Reform UK, who clearly don't know what they're doing. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.